Afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, December 11th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is our 10 of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that are in divine union right now. This is overcoming. This is going to feel like a little bit of doubt, fear, anxiety, potentially coming into circumstances or situations. But again, this is a point of optimism because allowing oneself to go through these moments is what allows you to be able to go through the points of having an easement. I'm not surprised to see this right now due to the fact that we are recognizing that we are moving very quickly into that Mercury retrograde. Having these moments of feeling like there are wrenches being thrown into things is very common during this period of time. Masculine and feminine right now in the divine union frequency. This is a moment, though, of addressing anything that feels like it is causing those points of conflict, all to move into something that allows for this easement. We'll also point out that one of the things that we were identifying that was occurring for the energy in the divine union frequency right now is that feeling that there's a lot of energy around you that is bringing their problems to your doorstep. That is effectively, in a way, going to be feeling like a little bit of the best worst case scenario, because we see here to a certain extent that one of the reasons that a lot of these outside circumstances or situations are coming towards the energy of the divine union for support, for advice, is due to the fact that the divine union is handling some things and situations so adroitly right now. To the masculine and feminine energy in this modality right now, this is almost effectively having to feel like you have to unnecessarily address some of the feeling of overwhelm around others at this time, effectively taking on their burdens as yours. Masculine and feminine in that divine union frequency right now are trying to navigate these hurdles as much as and well as they can right now, because we do see that there is this desire or need to want to come in to be able to provide that level or degree of support around the energy at this time. But it's also feeling so difficult because it almost feels to a certain extent for the energy in the divine union that you can't necessarily be everywhere at once. It's almost like trying to put your energy everywhere and realizing that you simply cannot do it. It's almost requiring a level or degree of choices to a certain extent. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, this is that moment of feeling the weight of the outside energy putting force on the divine union that is forming. As we observed over the last few days, there was that feeling or sensation specifically right now that there were divine unions forming, and not all the energy around it felt like it was ultra positive. There was even potentially, as we left some of the readings last week, a point of observation that was coming through in terms of identifying or feeling like there was energy around the divine union itself that did not necessarily feel like it was in alignment with it forming. For the energy in this modality right now, as we articulated, this is effectively making or breaking the possibility of these coming into divine union. And it's all amplified on how you are experiencing this and whether you're letting those doubts and fears create cracks in the divine union that you're effectively trying to form at this time. Masculine and feminine energy. Feminine was almost articulating and waiting for this to happen. We even saw that the feminine was kind of holding back at a point that masculine was running forth with the divine union, because feminine was almost moving in that state of trying to protect something very carefully that was forming. Masculine was much more willing to rush forward on this, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For the masculine and feminine in this modality right now, if this is a masculine that effectively experienced from bringing forth the divine union and feeling some of that outside energy, trying to put that seed of doubt into it, this either led to one or two different modalities taking place. Masculine allowing the divine union to fall apart, allowing their manifest desire to effectively be taken away from them due to outside influences. For a feminine energy feeling this right now, it could be feeling very difficult because it's almost feeling like a sandcastle effect, like something was about to be there, but now it's not any chance of forming because the masculine energy allowed those doubts and fears to creep in and effectively ruin what they were trying to create together. Further, as I amplified, for a feminine experiencing this, this almost feels like there's not much that one can do if experiencing this, because anything that you say almost amplifies the doubts that the masculine is effectively turning towards instead of preserving the divine union that's forming. For the other part of the energy right now, this is solidifying the divine union, because this is effectively articulating to a certain extent that you're not making the divine union for the sake of outside energy. Divine unions are not created to benefit outside energies. It is something that preserves even in the face of energy around it that may not necessarily be as positive or desiring it to a certain extent. This is the masculine and feminine energy effectively forming the divine union right now and almost articulating that they're willing to do what is necessary to bring something into a point of manifestation, regardless of how the outside energy around the union itself is effectively impacted or experiencing it. So this is almost going to amplify, though, again, much like the feeling of the energy that is in the divine union already, feeling like there are outside energies bringing the problems to the door of the divine union, but the problems stopping at the door. This is now the masculine and feminine coming into divine union, now getting on that same part of it, because that's the masculine and feminine that are almost articulating the difference between something that is, again, something that they're willing to address, but they aren't going to allow to affect the solidity or stability of what they have created. Feminine energy in separation right now, this is effectively feeling that energy or that point right now in terms of the point of identification that was potentially experienced prior to this point. Because we see here that a lot of that moment that we saw over the last week was almost amplifying and articulating outside energy that may have impacted possible divine unions forming around you in the past. And this could be this moment that we see that for both energies in separation right now, there is this feeling of navigating some sense or feeling of doubt or cynicism that is coming into play right now. Feminine and masculine right now. Feminine is potentially feeling that weight or that effort as it relates to situations and circumstances that may have prevented a divine union from forming. Feeling a lot of that weight of resistance. And so moving into that point of easement right now, feminine's in separation, not letting that kind of build a sense of crisis, but more just allowing that to be a point of peace is going to be very important at this time. While for masculine in separation right now, this could be feeling like a lot of amplification of the same energy that we're feeling of the feminine in separation, which is, again, navigating some feelings of doubt, of frustration, feeling some of that frustration not just amplified within the self, but articulated in some of the energy around you right now that needs to be processed so that you can move forward with a better sense of peace. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is Knight of Cups, and we love to see this energy right now. Masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership at this time. What we are effectively observing is, again, a moment of navigating how to address outside situations and circumstances. For the masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. These are feeling that point of almost having that sense of doing what one can, but recognizing the limitations in what one can effectively do. There's a point right now, it's almost like the frustration that we're effectively seeing for the energy in divine union right now is feeling like you cannot address all of the problems that are around you at this time. But we see here that there is a concerted effort of the energy in divine union to try to give forth as much as they are able. Masculine specifically right now is doing a lion's share of this right now, we are seeing, especially as it relates to some circumstances and situations. Feminine, you could be seeing a masculine in this modality right now if in the divine union, and this could be further amplifying your own sense of peace at this time, because we are seeing that potentially for the feminine energy, again, feminine is having that tendency of feeling that point of anxiety, of only recognizing that there's only so much that they can do. This could come through right now for the feminine in divine union, almost feeling that amplification of people pleasing, of feeling like one cannot necessarily please everyone or do what's going to be best for everyone. But this is, again, what we appreciate for the energy in divine union right now is this is almost masculine coming to the emotional rescue of the feminine in that modality and effectively articulating the lesson in terms of saying, listen, our job isn't to move the mountain. Our job is to do everything that we possibly can within reason. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that point of observation as it relates to whether the divine union will be forming or not. Because again, it all depends on where masculine is putting their emotionality at this time. If masculine is trying to move into divine union, masculine has potentially recognized that there's a point of dissonance There's a point of dissonance that's happening in terms of them trying to solidify a union. Outside energy, not necessarily having that point of like throwing confetti, but almost having more of trying to sow doubt or sowing a point of uncertainty. If masculine is bringing that emotionality to the energy around outside the partnership, effectively aligning their emotions to the energy that has those doubts and fears, well, poof, there's no divine union forming here because masculine's own emotionality is proving to be too fickle. It's moving too much with the tides of the energy around them to be able to hold forth and create a divine union. If the masculine, if is instead of experiencing these difficulties, these hurdles, these outside opinions, if masculine is bringing them to the feminine, into the divine union, then they are effectively creating the divine union. It is creating that something from nothing there because masculine is almost, again, creating the shell, building that environment of saying their problems stop at our doorstep. They're not ours to navigate. Again, much like the energy we see is already in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine, and for the feminine energy that is experiencing this at this time, this is that moment of, again, feeling the solidity and stability of a masculine that is building that emotional connection with you and is observing the fact of the energy around them not necessarily being in a point of wanting to have a divine union created due to the fact that it makes the masculine energy less accessible to outside energies. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this could be a lot of weight for the feminines that are recently experiencing this if this is something that just happened, because this is, again, a feminine energy that almost wants to articulate to the masculine, even if in separation right now, like why, almost trying to find out from the masculine almost immediately. If this was a masculine that was bringing forth on a divine union and then suddenly is now pulling back, this is almost feminine, almost immediately wanting to articulate to the masculine and say, who have you been speaking to? Where did this change come about? Because feminine, again, is seeing a masculine that's moving or vacillating very quickly through emotionality right now. And it's almost building a point of optics to a feminine in terms of where the source of these doubts or these concerns are coming in. But for feminine right now in separation, this is why we see that feminine is almost not necessarily even navigating these so much as leaving themselves open to new possibilities and experiences, because this is a feminine that's effectively looking at a masculine whose own emotionality is too fickle to hold forth in the face or space of energy that casts doubt on divine union. Feminine's almost having that point of observation right now, and it's leaving themselves open to communicate openly about this, potentially either with the masculine energy that's recognizing this and trying to come back into the divine union frequency, or with new energy, new opportunities, almost explaining to those new opportunities why something did not necessarily come together in the hope that the feminine aspired and desired to. Masculine in separation right now, again, we see that this is the point of breakthrough, because this observation, this understanding of what did not necessarily work is now amplifying to you what you need to adjust and accommodate for going forward. This could even be articulating right now as masculine energy, giving some kind of emotionality or articulating to energy around them right now how they feel about some circumstances and situations from the past right now, having to unpack some things right now, but again, with a better emotional understanding moving forward. It is this point of clarity right now that is potentially allowing for a breakthrough for the masculine energy and separation, because it is that point of recognizing the difference between how one feels versus how those around you feel. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, third card in our 5-card spread for today is we love this. We love this. We have here our 6 of Cups in its upright. A lot of work being paid today on positive karmic healing, not just related to the partnerships themselves, and it will have a different impact depending on where you are on these frequencies. Now, masculine and feminine that are in divine union. This is what I'm seeing here about the fact that the divine union is almost doing a lot of the heavy lifting to heal karmic partnerships right now. This is almost a point of observation. There's a clearance zone that's almost happening right now for the energy in divine union that is permitting or allowing, to a certain extent, some care and attention as it relates to situations surrounding the divine union that may need that point of repair, may need that point of healing. Masculine specifically is almost feeling the strength and stability of the divine union, allowing this easement for them to be able to more clearly express their emotionality. This is going to feel a lot for the energy in divine union right now, like mending fences, if you will. Why is this happening? Because the masculine energy in divine union has been coming into alignment with their own feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine own growth right now. It's the ability to come into emotional balance in divine union that is allowing masculine now to navigate and heal rifts outside the partnerships themselves that they may not necessarily have been able to navigate as well prior to the divine union forming. Because the gift of the divine union for masculine energy right now is emotional balance. Feminine, you could be seeing this right now in the masculine energy that you are in divine union with. You could be seeing the fact that this is masculine energy that is learning and has a beautiful ability to articulate about their emotionality, potentially even in ways that you haven't experienced before, due to the fact that the divine union itself has been healing the masculine's own emotional balance, like connection with themselves. That is allowing the masculine to effectively do a lot of this outside work in repairing anything that feels unbalanced, not just in the divine union emotionally right now, but outside of the divine union, which is what is potentially feeling so optimistic right now for a lot of the feminine energy going through this right now, because we saw that over the last few weeks, there have been some issues outside of the divine unions that required this level or degree of addressing. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. If this is a feminine that is seeing a masculine getting some of those doubts, getting those doubts being inserted by outside energy. But as I said, this is a masculine that's bringing those points to the feminine, articulating to feminine what is going on. This is feminine immediately recognizing that they are in the divine union frequency, because this is a masculine that is bringing their emotionality to the feminine, thus showing that this is a healthy karmic connection. If this is a feminine that is seeing a masculine instead moving away from the connection due to energy around them having their own opinions on the divine union itself. This is a feminine energy that is almost immediately foregoing that and moving forward to new opportunities with a sense, the fact that this masculine energy, it's not a question about whether the energy has an emotional connection to the feminine. It's that the connection is too fickle. It's that the masculine is too easily influenced by the energy around them. And this is a feminine that's almost confirming that they can't necessarily create or build a connection with an energy that isn't in a space or place that they can continue to have a consistent, healthy, karmic connection. Masculine energy in separation right now. We see here the feminine's almost like, again, a lot of the feminine in separation isn't wasting any time on this. This is something of feminine moving immediately right back into looking for union and potentially, again, looking for those consistent karmic connections right now, even as they go forward from this point. Masculine energy in separation right now, what we are effectively identifying at this time is a point of observation that may be happening at this time. And this may have a lot to do with you considering the energy that's around you at this time and asking oneself whether it feels like it is an energy that has your best interests at play, or if there's a feeling of something having been taken from you or removed from you, specifically due to those outside opinions looking towards their own needs as opposed to yours. For the masculine energy at this time right now, this is a point of deep emotional balance, because what we're almost seeing here is even for the energy in separation, even for the masculine energy in separation right now, there is some kind of catharsis point that's happening. There's some kind of emotional healing that is happening right now. And it may be a moment of outside, this could be a moment of repetition that's happening right now. I need to point out for some of the masculine energy, this is something that has not necessarily just happened once, but something that you are seeing now with a deja vu effect happening a second time. And it's almost like that moment right now of seeing something not just once, but repeating, that is helping you become aware of not only your own cycles, but the cycles of the energy around you. And that is good, because that is helping inform your decisions going forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is we love this. We love this. What are we seeing right now? We've got here our 5 of Pentacles in its reversal. It's not that, what did I say last week? There was abandonment wounds that were coming up. Abandonment wounds were rising to the surface. It's not a question of the abandonment wounds that are rising to the surface. It's all about whether you're allowing them to be a point of reactivity or a point of observation and intentionality. Masculine and feminine energy right now. It's not the fact that there aren't triggers that are being hit. I even warned last week, we saw those triggers being hit. We saw those abandonment wounds being triggered. But it is remarkable what happens when you got the right energy around you and those abandonment wounds are hit. Because what we see is happening right now for the energy in divine union is rather than them creating further upset, it's again, if there's any kind of abandonment wound being hidden, it's being hit for the energy in divine union. It's stopping right at the door of the divine unions. The divine unions are effectively not letting that energy come across the threshold, if you will, of the divine union, specifically because the masculine and feminine energy are working so hard to build that point of higher vibration and frequency within the divine union itself. This is a healing space, basically. The divine unions have become a healing space. And as a result, it's almost masculine and feminine addressing any of these difficulties or hurdles being brought forth towards the feminine and masculine in divine union as a point of observation, wanting to be able to do what one can to assist, to amend, to heal, but also being very observant not to allow their own sense of self to be triggered by any of those points of frustration, thus potentially creating or amplifying a problem instead of bringing forth a solution. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is that point, and it's going to feel a lot heavier for the energy at play here because this is the moment that you are creating this for yourselves. This is the moment that's really making or breaking a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, because it is that point in seeing the strength and stability of the divine union in the face of energy around it that's potentially trying to like knock it down with their own doubts, with their own fears, with their own anxieties. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, if you are utilizing this much, again, building that connective tissue between yourselves right now, effectively saying the difference between their problem and your problem has entirely to do with where you decide to let that stop, then congratulations, you're moving into the divine union frequency, because again, it's almost like you're creating an emotional or spiritual threshold where one did not exist before. It's the divine union, bringing each other and again, holding that point of solidarity between you as it relates to the outside doubts and fears is the creation of the divine union. It's moving you into that frequency. Masculine and feminine in separation, this could potentially be why you're falling into separation right now, because what we're effectively seeing at this time, if this is occurring, is this could be a moment that we are identifying and articulating wherein we see effectively that for the energy that's trying to come into divine union, if there's feminine right now that's seeing a masculine that's moving away from the feminine due to the doubts, due to the fears, due to the anxieties that someone's trying to put towards them as it relates to divine union forming, then this is a feminine that's almost saying that there's nothing that can be done. This is almost a feminine that's almost trying to amplify and articulate that this is a masculine that may even have emotionality towards the feminine, but not necessarily a masculine that's able to hold forth in the space of a heavy wind. That this is a masculine that allows their emotionality to move too quickly based on the outside opinions of others, in which case this is feminine almost again, not necessarily reacting, not chasing after this masculine energy, but again, almost immediately healing, almost immediately coming into positive karmic healing, moving forward as they continue to navigate and find the energy that is able to hold forth in such a capacity. Masculine energy that is coming into, that is in separation right now, what we're effectively identifying and recognizing is, again, if this is masculine energy that is in separation at this time, this is a moment of observation that you yourself may be having at this moment as it relates to circumstances and situations wherein you see moments or opportunities wherein you could have had this divine union forming, but allowing those outside influences at the time may have had an impact on you that you now recognize that you would not allow to happen. If you're in that modality right now and you're a masculine, I need to show and articulate that that is a sense and an opportunity that is really reflecting the amazing amount of growth that you've made at this time within your own spiritual self. Because what we're really seeing at this time is that point of healing based on observations on where you find yourself in this moment versus who you were in the past. that is a sign and symbol of how much you have grown. And recognizing that is effectively almost allowing you now to confront situations and circumstances that you may have addressed differently in the past. But the important thing that we see for the masculine energy and separation right now is not allowing yourself to take the bait. It's not allowing yourself to take the trigger, but instead in observing your own triggers, observing your own abandonment wounds is now allowing you the ability to operate more effectively and create stronger karmic bonds as you go forward from this point. So this is very, very positive because this is healing coming through across all parts of the frequency, regardless of where you are on it. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our Ace of Pentacles. Now, masculine and feminine energy that's in the divine union energy right now, what we are effectively seeing is, again, this is that moment or opportunity of healing that is coming through for the energy in divine union that's specifically related to that point of observation in terms of what you are able to give forth to the energy around you right now that feels like it needs that point or center of healing. Masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to at this time. We are effectively recognizing that this is a moment that is really helping you navigate any of this outside energy that is causing any feelings of friction or difficulty. We see here that masculine and feminine are not letting themselves move by any space or place of triggers, rather allowing that intentionality of the desire of what you're trying to bring forth right now really amplify what you are giving out at this time. And what we appreciate right now for the energy in the divine union frequency that is navigating this, it's going to feel like a little bit of like spiritual alchemy, if you will. It's going to feel like, again, it's not the fact that there isn't some feelings or difficulties that are coming towards you at this time. It's almost that moment of observing the power and impact of changing that into something productive that is really coming through as it relates to the energy of the divine union. It's almost taking that, like taking the negative and turning it into the positive. And what we love right now for the energy in divine union is it's really amplifying. Instead of looking at things and almost feeling like that snowball effect of difficulty or hurdles overcoming, this is masculine and feminine looking at the negative and saying, how can we make this better? How can we make this productive? How can we turn this trash and turn it into gold? The divine union frequency is effectively doing that with that point of spiritual alchemy, because they recognize that it is what is they create within themselves, and what they create in the union itself doesn't necessarily need to exist within the union. The goal is to protect the divine union energy, to allow it to be a source of positivity. Masculine and feminine that are trying to come into divine union right now, this is going to feel very difficult, because this is, again, this is literally, if you are experiencing right now these difficulties, these hurdles, these doubts, these fears coming in towards the union, and you, again, much like we saw with that crisis point that happened a few weeks ago, if you allow this to bring you closer together instead of pulling you apart, well, congratulations, they just solidified the divine union for you. It's like the energy on the outside that was negative against the divine union. If this is a moment that you allow this to bring you together, you've effectively solidified the divine union. And in a way, it's like that point of almost having that observation and saying it doesn't matter what the energy around you thinks, so long as you hold on to each other, because that is the divine union. Did you hear what I just said? It doesn't matter what the energy around you thinks, so long as you have each other. That's the divine union frequency. Turning the negative into a positive. Congratulations, you're on the same frequency. If you are allowing the outside opinions, the outside doubts, the outside fears to pull you apart from each other, you're right back into the separation frequency. But again, and we see here that it is going to hit differently, because the feminine, to a certain extent, was potentially anticipating this. The feminine has that deeper knowledge that something like this effectively occurs. If a feminine is seeing a masculine that is allowing themselves to be pulled away due to the outside opinions or the fears of missing out on something, or somebody trying to like give that point of pouring poison on the divine union, then this is a feminine almost saying it was never there to begin with. That if something as small as someone else's opinion on something could affect the divine union, then it wasn't ever really there at all. It's that magic between like having something that is made out of rock versus a sand castle. And for feminine seeing that, it's that moment of seeing that this is the masculine energy that lacked the commitment in terms of what it is that they're trying to manifest, which is why we see that the feminine energy in separation is almost moving so quickly away from that and setting their commitment on something, because what the feminine energy is recognizing right now that's amplifying their own journey is something that came so close to being formed can happen again. This is almost feminine getting immediate validation if this is occurring and saying something that can happen once can happen again. Feminine came so close to having that divine union form. Feminine feels the power of recognizing that this is something that they can do once more. Masculine energy and separation, this point of understanding, and again, this is going to feel a little bit different for the masculine energy. And I need to stress right now, if you are a masculine going through this right now, making sure that you don't hold on to the grief, the anger, the doubt, the fear that may be coming from some of this point of observation. Instead, again, allowing this to transform you, allowing this to help you grow is going to be very valuable and important, because what we're effectively identifying at this time is, again, some point of observation potentially about how some outside energy around you from the past may have taken something from you that you didn't even realize was being taken. But having that point of recognition is also a center of accountability and personal accountability, because it's that point of recognizing that this wasn't necessarily something that was taken from you, but something that you made the internal choice to hold forth on. Having that point of observation right now is, again, building you up in terms of recognizing that what you can change about one's own self and one's own sense of commitment, in terms of holding on to things out beyond outside opinion right now. That is effectively the lesson. Recognizing that lesson is exactly what you need to be able to go forward from this point with a deeper sense of resolve in terms of what you're creating, regardless of energy around you trying to trigger you into an abandonment wound to make you give up on something that you desire. For the masculine energy recognizing this right now, this is going to feel somewhat bittersweet, because it is a point that may be shifting what you feel like is a healthy karmic connection around you versus energy that you may feel had their best interests around you at a time that wasn't necessarily thinking about your own best interests. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between Ten of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Knight of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Six of Swords in its upright. Masculine and feminine energy right now, one of the biggest challenges that's occurring for the energy in divine union and partnership is effectively going to be something along the lines of, you can't please everyone all of the time. You can't be everywhere at once. There has to be choices that are made. What we see here with the masculine and feminine energy in divine union is this feeling, and again, it may feel overwhelming, but again, it's going to feel like a point of masculine and feminine feeling a lot of external situations and circumstances that require their time, effort, and energy and attention. And only feeling like they can only be in so many places at once. They can only do so many things. What we see here effectively for masculine and feminine is trying to navigate. This is going to feel like, I have to describe it right now. It's almost feeling like for masculine and feminine divine union right now, like, you know, you're looking at the world and the world's like a wall with a bunch of holes in it, and you're doing everything you can to like plug up the spots, right? It's like you're doing everything you can right now to effectively patch where you can, but only being able to hit so many spots at once is effectively the hurdle and challenge that the divine union energy is feeling right now. And for that reason, there is this moment of effectively feeling some point of disappointment as it relates to the limitations on what you can energetically give your time, effort, and energy on right now. It may be feeling like now for the divine union frequency, like you're apologizing to a lot of people right now around you, but it's not coming from a state or space of negative. It's almost coming from a point of observing that there's only so much that you can do energetically for those around you. Feminine, you may be seeing this a lot right now with the masculine, and almost to a certain extent, masculine helping the feminine with this to a certain extent, because the feminine is taking on a lot of this feeling of guilt. This is almost feminine feeling guilty for their own ability not to be everywhere at once. We almost see that this is masculine almost reaffirming into the feminine that it isn't their job to do everything. It's their job to do what they can. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, this is the same exact message. And again, if the feminine is seeing this right now on a part of a masculine, it is affirming to the feminine that a divine union has effectively affirmed. Because what we're effectively seeing at this time for the energy right now that's potentially experiencing this is that point of observation of a feminine recognizing that this is a masculine talking about to the feminine coming into divine union, the outside opinions, the negative opinions, the energy that's giving that kind of like poo-poo to something instead of giving that like pat on the back about it. And for the feminine, Recognizing this is almost the feminine articulating and explaining to the masculine, as I said, for the energy that brings this forth to the feminine. This is feminine being like, well, I'm telling you why that's happening. This is because they feel like they're losing access to you. This is because seeing you in divine union doesn't serve best interest. And this is almost that a moment of masculine letting that go to a certain extent, recognizing, much like the energy in divine union, you can't please everybody. Masculine has to choose where they're putting their energy. And this is masculine, again, if coming into divine union, saying they're just going to have to get happy with disappointment. This is almost masculine saying they better just get happy with being disappointed about it, because I'm not changing. I'm moving in the direction of where my heart is taking me, i.e. I'm preserving the divine union, even in the face of energy that's trying to cast sadness or doubt in seeing me move in that direction. Because this is not masculine energy that was trying to move into divine union to trigger energy into action. This is divine masculine energy that is almost committing themselves to where their heart is guiding them in the face of a strong wind. Feminine energy seeing this right now, this is immediate confirmation that you are in fact moving into divine union, because this is not just a masculine energy that goes where their heart desires or goes where it's easy. This is a masculine committing their heart and energy to a space or place that is a challenging zone. It's not that it's easy, it's that it creates a point of challenge, but it's almost reaffirming to the feminine that this is a masculine that is able to maintain a consistency in their own commitment regardless of the energy around them, which is effectively affirming and confirming and solidifying the formation of the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine that are falling into separation over this is effectively why we see that this is a feminine that is not stopping, not pausing and waiting, but just also as immediately leaving themselves open to new opportunities, potentially even articulating that this effectively happened, because this is a feminine energy that's almost immediately recognizing and experiencing, to a certain extent, a point of optics in the feeling and recognition of potentially having an emotional connection with the masculine energy, but feeling the sadness and regret of that energy being too fickle. Not being able to hold forth, not being able to be patient, not being able to navigate anything that feels like a strong wind, is effectively amplifying to the feminine that this is not necessarily an energy that the feminine needs to be able to go forth with, and it's almost leaving the feminine open now to new opportunities, because we are seeing here that this is feminine energy that says the emotionality is not enough. You have to have that emotionality and not necessarily care what outside energy has to say about it. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is a moment that could be feeling somewhat bittersweet, because this could be an observation point and feeling like something was close to forming around you in the past, and you're now having new optics on how something escaped your grasp. And while there may be a lot of sadness or a feeling of grief around this, there's almost a point of commitment that's happening or resolve, because something that is recognized, a pattern that is recognized, is effectively a pattern that can be broken. And we're seeing here with the masculine energy in this modality, this deeper connection with yourself, this learning, this lesson on how it's not just necessarily enough to have emotionality for someone, but instead to be able to hold forth and stay committed to that energy, regardless of the energy around you, is effectively the lesson that the masculine energy and separation is learning right now, that is going to amplify your own ability to come forward in a more stable, consistent way going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Cups in combination with our Six of Cups. Beautiful cards in combination today. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Look at this. Look at this combo. We've got here our Queen of Swords in its upright. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union and partnership right now. This is all about what feels like it is positive, what feels like it is productive. This is literally like this point of entry that is happening right now for the energy of the divine union, that basically says you can bring the part and the problems to the divine union frequency as much as you want, as long as you have a desire to heal. As long as this is a moment we see here of masculine and feminine, almost like, in a way, what's beautiful about this is like the divine union frequency is like opening its doors to a certain extent. And it's not just in relation to the energy of the divine union itself, but any of the problems that are happening right now around friends, family, things of that nature, and saying, as long as you come here As long as you bring your problems to the divine union with an open heart, as long as you are also committed to being in that same modality and vibration, masculine and feminine are almost utilizing that as their point of optics in terms of healing any of the energy that's effectively around them at this time. We almost see here that this level of care, this level of commitment that is being taught between the masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency is almost one that feels like contagious. It feels like it's so positive that they want to share it with all of those around them. And we see here that this is, again, almost leading to the masculine and feminine in this modality right now, having that feeling of building that sense of community around themselves, not just in the divine union, but also being able to lend that insight, lend that act of care to anyone that is around them that feels like it is further amplifying them in that frequency. And we see here that this is the combination of the dual effort that both energies are learning from one another. What is masculine been learning over the last few weeks from the feminine? How to feel their emotions without allowing them to feel like there's a possibility of overwhelming them. Healing the abandonment wound. What is feminine learning? Feminine learning how to set strong boundaries, not necessarily to allow their heart to guide them in spaces, but to allow their intentionality to have to override some of their heart space. Healing their abandonment wound. Both of these energies getting this dual work is almost amplifying and allowing them not just to build that divine union energy amongst themselves, but to be able to help those around them. It's immediately like growing in its capacity to heal. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union at this time. This is that moment that if you're moving into the divine union frequency, and again, if this is masculine energy that's not being pulled away from feminine at this time, but is almost holding forth. This is the message that the feminine energies and masculine energies potentially giving to the energy around them right now, which is like, you can say anything you want about the divine union forming. It's not about what the outside opinions are. It's about the connectivity between the energy itself. This is like masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, saying in like the most like loving way possible, like, we care tremendously about you, but if you don't like what we're creating between ourselves, you can go suck an egg. It's really kind of creating that kind of energy, because that's the type of energy that you need to be able to create a divine union. Masculine potentially could be doing this, and it could almost be like the masculine giving their piece of their this is masculine if now in divine union, almost giving their like peace of mind to the energy around them that is negative towards the divine union, almost again amplifying and saying, listen, regardless of what you feel, this is how I feel. And that's where the priority is. The masculine almost amplifying and reinforcing that their feelings have not shifted in the face of outside energy, casting doubt on what they're creating with the feminine. Feminine's already ready to do this. Feminine was waiting for this. Feminine's been in that modality of working to protect something. And feminine, if this is a masculine that came to the feminine and articulated them that was happening, this is feminine almost again getting even more protective, because this is almost a feeling of feminine looking at outside energy, feeling like they're trying to take this away from both of these energies. Masculine and feminine, if this is a moment of feminine seeing this occurring, if this is a feminine energy that is seeing a masculine that is being pulled away from them by their doubts, by their fears, then this is a feminine energy that is almost saying, you can stay over on that side. This is almost a feminine energy saying to the masculine, you've effectively made your choice, because this is almost a feminine energy that recognizes that this isn't a masculine energy that goes where their heart leads them. This is a masculine energy that is led by the nose as it relates to whatever the energy around them tells them is best for them. And for the feminine energy in this modality, this is almost feminine immediately saying, I cannot build something with you. I cannot maintain a vibration with you if you are so easily led astray by those outside doubts, by those outside fears. This is feminine saying immediately, almost immediately looking back in and going back to seek out new energy, because this is feminine now feeling the sense of having come so close to a divine union that it was almost there and then it poofed away because the masculine could not hold forth in terms of the challenge of the outside energy. Masculine energy. If you are in separation right now, this could be feeling like a moment that's a little rough. It's potentially feeling like a little rough because it's making you reconsider the energy that you keep around your person at this time. It's making you look back. It's giving you this past observation on some things that happened, and you're seeing it from new optics, and it is changing your opinion on whether the energy around you had your best interests at play, because now potentially there is an energy that you feel is on the other side of. This is potentially even looking at a feminine that keeps you at a distance because effectively you chose outside energy and their opinion on something versus the divine union that you are about to form with an energy. And that point of observation is potentially changing your directive going forward. But that is, again, a gift for a masculine experiencing that, because that is that point of a lesson that effectively would give you a moment of recognizing that what you would do in the present is different than what may have occurred in the past. But it may be a very heavy energy because, again, it may have created a space or place where there's a feminine that now keeps you at a distance as a result. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Six of Cups in combination with our Five of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Balance. This is good. These are beautiful cards. Beautiful cards for us to have right now. Masculine and feminine in divine union and divine partnership right now. This is that point of observation. And again, it's not the fact that there aren't situations and circumstances right now that are not triggering the divine feminine and masculine in divine union right now. It's all about the difference between reacting to a trigger or observing the trigger. And masculine and feminine energy right now in the divine union frequency are not reacting to their triggers. The triggers are coming up, but they're utilizing it as a point of observation. They are moving, they're utilizing that connectivity point. They're like dissolving the reactivity point by the joint effort of coming together. That point of interactivity between something happening and then discussing it with the energy around you is creating a point of balance that is allowing the divine union to stay in that frequency. It's not the fact that you're not being triggered. It's the fact that the divine union itself almost dissolves the trigger before it creates a state of reactivity. Why? Because masculine and feminine are guiding each other through the trigger points. They're guiding each other through the trigger points with the lesson that the other one taught the other one. Masculine by giving feminine emotional support. Feminine giving masculine stoicism and boundaries. So this is that back and forth moment that is, again, powerful because it's like a mirror, but it's like a good mirror. It's not like a bad mirror, right? It's not like a funhouse mirror. It's like a mirror that amplifies the good instead of just bringing out the distortions. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now. This is that moment that is either going to amplify whether this is actually moving into the divine union frequency or if this is going to tear you apart. And it all depends on where you're turning your attention right now. If masculine is taking those doubts, those fears that are being sowed by the outside energy, seeing them come into union, and is moving into alignment with that energy, then that's moving them right back into separation. It's gone. Whatever they were creating is gone. If the masculine energy, if instead takes those doubts, those fears, brings them to the feminine, you just created something where something didn't exist. You just created something where something didn't exist. You just created a home. You created that shelter point. The divine union has become a shelter point because, again, it's not the fact that you aren't feeling the reactivity of a trigger. It's that you're not reacting to it. You're instead observing it. You're utilizing the other energy to create balance right now. So if you're doing that, then congratulations. You're in divine union. You're moving into the divine union frequency. Feminine, if you're seeing this right now, it's going to feel like a massive relief because this is feminine that was effectively anticipating this to a certain extent. But it's almost that point of observation in masculine, not letting themselves be triggered in that way away from the feminine that is almost immediately affirming to feminine divine union is occurring. Masculine, feminine energy and separation right now, this is observing that potentially happened. And this is feminine almost immediately healing themselves because this is feminine energy that is affirming to themselves, if in separation, that they are looking for masculine energy, that when they are triggered, do not run in the opposite direction of feminine. that hold firmly to the feminine, not just when it's easy, but when it is hard. Not just when there is no abandonment wound, but experiencing the abandonment wound and not running in the opposite direction of the feminine the minute outside energy pulls them that way. Feminine is effectively seeking that right now, which is why feminine is healing this, because it's this point of healing that is allowing the feminine to move forward on their own journey right now, allowing themselves to shed any of the grief that they're feeling and anything that did not elapse in this manner. Masculine energy in separation, this is you potentially seeing this abandonment wound in yourself. This is potentially going to feel a little bit more difficult because this is potentially a point of observation where this may in fact have occurred. And it may be even shifting your own focus right now, not just about your own self, but the energy that you're keeping around yourself going forward right now, because there is this moment of masculine experiencing the difference between energy they felt triggered them and utilized an abandonment fear to their own advantage versus energy that tried to guide you through an abandonment wound. Looking at things from that different optics, seeing the difference between an energy that may have tried to challenge you to see your own abandonment wound versus energy that tried to utilize an abandonment wound to their own devices is what is creating a sense of balance for the masculine right now, because it is helping you understand the self better so that you can proceed forward and not allow that to occur again. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love this. These cards today. Eight of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership right now. This is the healing of the abandonment wound. This is that moment of, again, it's not the fact that there aren't some triggers that are being hit right now. It's that point of observation that the divine union itself allows a point of productivity. The energy of the divine union does not take advantage of a trigger that is hit. This is not how you motivate activity. It is more of that point of observation in terms of recognizing what did I say? What are the divine unions doing right now that is so important? Masculine and feminine in divine union right now is almost going through that point of observing and saying, show me where you are vulnerable, so I can show you what I'm going to do to protect it. Show me your most vulnerable spot so that I can show you that I will not take advantage of you in that space. I will fortify that space as much as I possibly can. Divine masculine and feminine are doing that for each other. It's almost like, again, pouring gold into the cracks, if you will, of one another's own circumstances, of one another's own selves. And it is that ability that is almost fortifying the divine union right now, not only not to react to a lot of the abandonment wounds that are potentially occurring right now around you, but almost transforming them into moments of liberation. It's taking something that may have previously built a point of fear, built a point of anxiety, and instead utilizing it and being like, that's a place of liberation right now. That's a point of breaking through one's own limitations and boundaries, because it's almost showing you to a certain extent that that abandonment wound is almost not necessary right now, because it's something that is being protected. It is opening up your own opinion, your own abilities. It's almost like creating this space that you can grow as an individual in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine coming into this right now, it's going to feel like a TARDIS effect. That's the best way I can describe it. It's going to feel like the divine union suddenly got a lot bigger on the inside, because this is a moment that you're effectively creating something from nothing. There was nothing there. Now there's a divine union. Now there's a divine union that you're almost protecting like a separate object. It is that point of observing the fact that the abandonment wound didn't allow this to dissolve, having that outside energy around you, almost challenging the formation of the divine union. You didn't take the bait. You didn't let it dissolve it. In a way, it fortified it. It poured concrete on it, because you effectively held forth in that and said, this is not something that is up for debate. This is, especially if this is a masculine that experienced those doubts, this is a masculine effectively saying to a certain extent to, like, the universe as they're trying to manifest a divine union, did I stutter? Did I stutter? And the masculine energy's own ability to hold forth in the face of energy that is poking holes or trying to poke holes in what they're creating at this time is that moment that is effectively amplifying to the feminine and seeing that this is actually a divine union that is forming. Masculine and feminine feeling an immediate wave of relief. And again, it's almost going to feel like an expansive energy where something is getting much bigger, something is growing, something is building momentum, because the divine union itself is becoming something that was not there that now exists between you. And it is protecting that thing that exists between you that is suddenly creating the divine union. It's not just about you or them experiencing your own experiences. It is what you are creating together that needs to be protected. Continuing to get masculine and feminine that are in separation over this. This is feminine walking straight away from anything that didn't defend the union in this way. If there's a moment right now of feminine having experienced something where they feel like they just got so close to a divine union forming, only for it to be taken away at the last moment or opportunity by energy outside of the union itself, trying to poke holes in it, trying to pull it apart. This is feminine energy immediately, I have to say immediately, walking away to do it again. This is almost feminine saying what happened once can happen again. This is feminine saying, I know now what I'm seeking in an energy. It's not just the emotionality, but it is the desire for an energy that can hold forth even in the face of outside opinions, putting pressure on the divine union. This is feminine energy almost immediately, not even allowing themselves a need to like recover. This is almost immediate karmic clearing in terms of feminine saying, what I've done once, I can do again. I can't do it with this energy because this is an energy that effectively allowed a divine union to dissolve because of outside opinions. This is feminine almost saying, I can't waste my time on this. I'm immediately moving forward. Masculine, if you're in separation and this just happened, or if this is masculine energy and separation, having a point of recollection that this happened, this is a moment that you're suddenly realizing the value and importance and significance of your own need of resolve. It's that point of recognizing the resolve that you need to hold forth, the point of understanding the difference between saying that you desire something and having to actually desire something and hold forth on it, even in the face of outside opinion, that is potentially now effectively building that amplification of strength for you as it relates to recognizing what you effectively need to do to be able to hold on and create that for yourself going forward. And that point of understanding is a breakthrough. It may be a very difficult breakthrough because it's making you recognize your own abandonment wounds. It may be making you recognize moments that you did not hold forth like that in the past. But again, a recognition of something that you need to change is a point of reference in terms of what you need to do going forward that will allow for a better opportunity of success. So for masculine in this modality right now, it is that moment of understanding of the self that feels liberating because it is that observation on what one could have done differently that would have allowed for a different outcome to occur. So again, recognizing what you need to change is amplifying your own journey right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Swords in combination with our Queen of Wands, of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Cups. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is all about where to put your time, effort, energy right now. Masculine, feminine more than anything right now. And we see here that this is a feminine. This is feminine learning now not to let themselves feel overwhelmed in what they cannot necessarily achieve and do. This is a feminine that to a certain extent, like almost like feels like they put the weight of the world on their shoulders. This is feminine that potentially would often get upset at themselves for not being able to take on these burdens of responsibility. But through the divine union with the masculine right now, again, masculine saying you can only do what you can do. You don't need to like effectively overgive in that way, is helping the feminine become more discerning, become more careful, allowing an alternative in choice and recognizing that they don't necessarily need to take on every shred of responsibility, but they need to be more selective in terms of where they concentrate their energy and effort going forward. This is almost amplifying the security and strength of the divine union that is forming or that has formed. Masculine at the same time. What you are learning from each other right now is creating a different point of insight. Masculine, you may be feeling like you're having a lot more care and empathy to things right now. You're bringing a lot of that empathy into spaces and places that you may have felt like you were more rigid in the past. That empathy is something that you are learning from the feminine, and it is also navigating your own choices. For the masculine, this may be feeling, like I said, like a lot of bridge building, a lot of mending of fences, a lot of healing coming into some circumstances and situations right now. While for feminine, it may be feeling like you're more restrictive. It may be feeling like you're putting more walls up. So the masculine right now in divine union is potentially feeling like they are the empathetic one. And the feminine is feeling like the one that's learning how to lay heavy boundaries, right? This is both energies learning the job of the other one to a certain extent. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now. This is the choice. This is the choice that just amplified and affirmed the divine union, or it never existed at all. And for feminine right now, we see that if this is a feminine that sees a masculine in this modality, this is potentially a feminine that feels like they've seen this before. This is almost a feminine looking at a circumstance and situation with divine masculine to a certain extent. If they're going through this, the reason the feminine is almost sitting and watching to a certain extent is because the feminine already knows that this is going to happen. This is a feminine that is almost looking to see what choice the masculine will make and recognizing that they have no power even in articulating this, unless the masculine chooses this for themselves. Because the feminine cannot be, again, the feminine cannot be everywhere at once. The feminine's responsibility isn't to navigate every energy around the masculine that may try to pull them away from divine union. The feminine knows that this is something that the masculine needs to be able to choose in their own heart. And if the masculine cannot choose that in their own heart, then the masculine will always be open to moving away out of the divine union frequency by anything that comes up that creates or sows that seed of doubt within them. For the feminine, this is almost, again, a point of their own stoicism lesson coming into play, because this is a feminine that's just much more eager to walk away from a masculine that even seems to hesitate on making that choice, because it's that moment for the feminine that says this needs to be a masculine that recognizes what that choice should be. And it's not one that should be guided by the feminine. It's one that the masculine should just know in their heart that they need to make. And effectively that, to a certain extent, affirms to the feminine that this is a masculine that can move into the divine union frequency. And this is a feminine getting, again, very duality on this, getting very either you can do it or you can't. You either can do it or you can't. And feminine's almost in that modality right now of not being open to teaching the masculine how to master this ability. They have to know how to do it, or feminine's just moving forward. Masculine energy in this modality right now of separation, this could be a moment that feels very difficult, because there could be a moment of observation that you are now recognizing, and this could be amplified right now, especially masculine, if there is something that feels like it is reoccurring for you, because this is coming through from the masculine energy and separation right now, not just in something that you learned once, but something that has happened on several occasions, and something recently has kind of brought you up to speed on it. For masculine, it's almost this point of understanding that is coming in right now on something that may have been a cycle repeating in your own experience that you now see. And this is a moment that is, again, feeling the weight of the sense of frustration, the sense of grief in terms of the fact of what may have been lost coming up until this point, but is also building that conviction on what you can adjust and accommodate for going forward. And we do see here that some of this has to do potentially with masculine, like I said, for the masculine and separation, feeling like there is a feminine that incurred this in you. It was a hard lesson, because this is almost a feminine that may have tried to amplify this to you that you didn't necessarily see at the time. Right? But is coming through. It's like the lesson is coming through. It's just coming at a cost of masculine observing that there's some feminine energy now that potentially holds you at a distance because they effectively feel that you made the wrong choice. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Swords in combination with our Justice card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Chariot. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is that amplification on what you are creating with yourselves at this time. And it is a moment that feels like there is a lot of amplification of balance as it relates to how you're balancing in the present moment, and that feeling of expectation on where you're going forward from this time. For masculine and feminine in divine union, It's not the fact that everything's perfect. Look, it's not that we're starting things here with everything being perfect, but it's almost that energy right now of the divine union, feeling like there isn't a problem you can bring to the door of the masculine and feminine, that they do not feel like there is some level or degree of confidence that they can't solve. In fact, masculine and feminine to a certain extent are almost saying, as long as they hold forth, as long as they continue to learn these lessons from one another, as long as they continue to move in that space or place of creating the equality and balance between them, masculine doing so by keeping their heart open and allowing themselves to feel and express their emotions, feminine by laying those firm boundaries and moving from a lot of the lessons that they learned from the masculine energy, then this is masculine and feminine almost feeling the beautiful balance in what they've created together that is amplifying their present moment and also helping to lay the course for where they're moving forward at this time. And it is going to feel a little bit for the energy in the divine union frequency like a lot of discernment's at play. It's requiring you to make a lot of choices. But again, the choices are ones that you are making together in balance. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that moment that is potentially, again, an observation point as to whether something is making or breaking in relation to whether you're coming into the divine union frequency. Because what we're effectively recognizing right now for the energy that's coming into the divine union frequency is this point of observation related to what feels like it is creating that sense of balance. Is this masculine energy that is defending and protecting the feminine right now from the outside energy that feels like it is putting doubt or uncertainty on the possibility of divine union? If so, beautiful. You're moved into the divine union frequency. Or is this masculine energy feminine is observing right now that is allowing themselves to be pulled away from the opportunity of divine union by energy that is showing some point of caution, some point of stopping, putting those seeds in, calling for that halt? Feminine is watching right now to see which direction the masculine energy falls on this, whether this is a masculine energy that is working to protect and defend the feminine, therefore bringing this in and creating this divine union frequency, or is this masculine that's effectively allowing themselves to be pulled away by the tide of the energy around them at this time? Feminine seeing this isn't trying to stop them. Feminine energy, if this is happening and this is masculine doing so, this is feminine energy that's feeling almost like saying to themselves, good. It's a relief. It's a relief to observe this. This is almost a feminine that's allowing themselves to watch this happen. If going, even like feminine, almost allowing themselves to fall back into separation, because this is a feminine energy that's effectively saying if a masculine can't make this choice for themselves, then this is a feminine that can't force that masculine to make that choice. That feminine cannot control the direction that the masculine energy chooses to go, but the feminine can call a halt to it if they feel like the masculine is moving in the wrong direction. So we see here that for a lot of the feminine right now, there's that point of observation that says, if you go in that direction, if you allow that tide to pull you away from me right now, then you can stay over there, because this is a feminine that says, you are showing me that this is something that will always occur. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, this is that point of observation, potentially why, not just why you're in separation right now, but why there may be a feminine that you're trying to move towards right now, even if this is a past energy that may have some point of caution to you. They may have these boundaries. They may have some very strong boundaries in terms of what they allow you going towards them at this time, because this is that observation that you're potentially reaching now, not just in terms of what occurred between you and them, but everything that they saw that you could not see. Everything that they may have tried to articulate to you that you could not recognize at that time. It's that point of understanding and seeing it. It's almost creating right now for the masculine energy and separation a point of optics on the point of view of a feminine that may have been trying to call about this, that may have been trying to alert to this, that you're now seeing because something about it is repeating. And it's that repetition right now that is almost allowing this point of observation for the masculine, that is allowing a bit of a personal breakthrough. Because again, something that is observed in the self, a repetition of a cycle observed, is a point of productivity for an alternative path to be found. So for the masculine energy in that modality right now, it is that observation point that is now allowing you to build forward from this point with a better sense of what you need to do, because it's a point of recognizing how you may have felt. You may have put a feminine energy in a space or place where they felt like they had to defend themselves against the energy that you were bringing forth from outside influences, versus that point of observing that you should have been the first one to rush to that energy's aid to protect them in the first place. It's that point of observation that's effectively now creating a space or place that you yourself can heal if in separation and move forward with a better sense of balance. Continuing to get clarification between our Justice card in combination with our Eight of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with World in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership right now. This is that point of observation in terms of identifying and creating a sense of balance. It's not, as I said, it is not the fact that everything is perfect right now. In fact, there's a feeling right now, even of the energy in the divine union, in having to navigate a lot of situations and circumstances that feel like they are chaotic. They feel like they're out of the purview of your own ability to control. But what we appreciate right now for the energy in divine union and partnership is that point of observation in terms of identifying and understanding what you feel like you can accommodate for, what you feel like you can bring balance to, versus what is out of your hands to be able to control. It is that point of observation to a certain extent that's almost liberating the energy in the divine union frequency, because it's almost that moment of really, again, and it's going to feel kind of like a binary of looking and saying, give me the strength to change what I can change, and give me the understanding and the forgiveness to recognize what I can't. It's that point of recognition. It's that point of understanding. It's finding that point and that center and looking at things from that optics that is helping the energy right now in the divine union identify what they feel they can actually create balance in, versus what needs to potentially be released because it's just creating that source or that center of ungroundedness. Masculine and feminine right now are almost, again, just doing this point and observing and saying, this is what we can fix, this is what we can accommodate for, and this is what we can't predict. That's what's helping right now the energies in that divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union. This is that moment that we are effectively identifying that is requiring that point in understanding whether this is effectively a moment that is going to make or break the divine union, because what we are effectively seeing at this time is that point of observation. Masculine and feminine at this moment. Feminine is seeing masculine being pulled away from the feminine, from that energy around them that is effectively causing those points of the divine union potentially falling back into the wayside. This is a feminine that is effectively watching. This is almost a feminine that's like not even this like hands-off approach, if you will, to see which direction the masculine energy goes into. Because this is a feminine energy that, again, is almost looking at the masculine and effectively saying to a certain extent, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that this is feminine energy that's articulating that this is not a choice that is the feminine's to make. This is not a feminine being able to help the masculine through this choice. This is a feminine almost, again, relinquishing control, if you will, around circumstances and situations to a certain extent, to say this is either something that the energy of the masculine shows that they have an ability to navigate, or they don't. This is feminine looking at the masculine and saying, are you creating that center of balance? Are you going to hold forth in terms of what it is that you're creating, what we're creating at this time? Or are you letting it kind of fall into collapse? Feminine is almost like moving into that space or place, even if coming into divine union right now. And this is why we see that this is energy that's either moving into the divine union frequency or falling back into separation. Because what we're effectively seeing is this moment of the feminine recognizing and identifying that this is effectively not necessarily in their control to navigate. This is more something that the masculine themselves needs to learn how to grasp. Feminine seeing this, feminine that is seeing a masculine that is turning towards the feminine in this moment, that is building that opportunity, that is building that stability at this time. This is feminine energy that is effectively immediately feeling that point, masculine and feminine coming into that point of the divine union forming, building that center. And that is that moment that is feeling that point of balance between those two energies. Now, masculine, if you're having this experience right now, if you're about to move into divine union, you're feeling that pull away, you're feeling that energy that was effectively having that point right now. If you are moving towards the feminine in this moment, you are affirming and building that divine union energy. If you're being pulled away, this is immediately falling back into separation. And unfortunately, this is going to be a very hard separation to come back out of right now, especially with the same energy, because there's almost something here that you are potentially even recognizing that this is occurring even as it is occurring. Now, feminine energy and separation right now, this is feminine energy that if this is happening and you're coming into separation, we see here that the feminine is almost coming into a good riddance approach, as it were. This is feminine energy that's not allowing themselves to come into this point of recognizing or introducing anything that feels like it is overly chaotic into their own experience at this time. Because what we're really identifying that is effectively happening at this moment is feminine is identifying and recognizing what is in their power that feels balanced versus situations or circumstances that they could potentially continue to occupy, but that would only continue to create chaos for them. The feminine energy in this modality is almost allowing themselves to immediately karmically align if they're coming into separation at this time, because this is the feminine energy that is almost immediately releasing what isn't theirs or what isn't serving them, and almost observing that there are potentially situations that they could remain in, but that would effectively only create further chaos. This is the feminine energy just moving away from that point of chaos as they try to find balance and continue forward on their own karmic path. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is that point of observation, and it may feel a little bit more disorienting because what we're effectively seeing at this time is this point of observation about how you yourself may have had more of a hand in creating something that feels balanced versus chaotic. And what we're effectively identifying at this time for masculine is this point of observation that you're experiencing right now in separation is almost amplifying to you what you may have been able to do differently in the past that may have created more balance going forward. For the masculine energy in separation right now, even that point of observation is going to feel very productive and healthy because it's really helping you recognize again what you may have done in the past versus what you plan to do now that is going to help you maintain that center of balance going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Cups in combination with our Chariot. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership at this time. What we are effectively observing is, again, this moment in terms of recognizing what you feel is productive, what you feel is helpful, what you feel is going to help you navigate going forward. And a lot of this, again, we just keep seeing that for a lot of the energy right now that are in that divine union frequency, a lot of this feels like it is trying to lend support. It is trying to lend aid. It is trying to lend help to energy that needs this level or degree of assistance. One of the difficulties or hurdles right now for the energy in the divine union frequency is more having this sense right now of feeling that point of wanting to assist, of wanting to be able to come forward and support, but also recognizing to a certain extent what is and is not in your power to control, what is and is not in your power to be able to assist with. And for the energy in that modality right now, this is going to feel like a lot of choices that need to be made. But more importantly, it's also amplifying the difference between spaces and places that you want to lend assistance versus looking at situations and identifying if the energy itself is also in that modality of wanting to do so in kind. Masculine and feminine to a certain extent, we see here that need in divine union is tremendous right now. And it's almost creating this level or degree of empathy, wanting to go back to situations and experiences to like put that balm of healing on things, if you will. It's more this observation right now about whether that balm of healing, if you will, feels like it's coming into a space or place of productivity, or if it feels like it's just going to amplify that point of not being able to do something as well as one might ideally desire and aspire to. And it is creating a circumstance or scenario right now for the energy at play that feels like it is triggering to a certain extent. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is, again, a difference between what you can effectively aspire and desire to do versus the energy around you and how they may react to it in kind. This is almost a moment, and again, it's going to feel like a lot of support that the energy in divine union is providing one another at this time, because it's really amplifying that center of recognizing and helping one another identify circumstances and situations that feel like they are challenging. The divine union itself, again, the beauty of the divine union right now is this point of observation in terms of feeling like an abandonment wound's being triggered. But the value and significance of the divine union is being able to have that energy around you to bounce those feelings off of. It's creating that space or place of working through the problems together. And it is amplifying to a certain extent what feels like it is productive, what feels like it is positive, what feels like it creates that center of support going forward, versus spaces or places that are effectively almost affirming what can't be helped. And the masculine and feminine energy right now in divine union, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, this is really articulating that point, that observable point in terms of looking at the problems around you right now, ascertaining what decisions you need to make going forward, and effectively having that point of support that's helping you in the divine union itself recognize and decide if you feel like there's another course of action or another choice, or if you have exhausted the possibilities in terms of trying to heal and repair things right now. Masculine and feminine. So it's going to feel a lot like this moment, and it's going to potentially have a lot for the energy in divine union that talks about outside energy around you at this time. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union. This is that point of observation that is really pronouncing whether these are going to stay in the divine union frequency or not. And it all has to do with the courage of the energy at play as it relates to some of the energy of doubt, of fear towards a divine union forming right now, that is amplifying whether this is going to be a cycle repeated. Feminine potentially has seen masculine energy come up towards them all the way up until this point, but divine union not effectively being reached because the masculine lacked the confidence to defend the union itself. If feminine is seeing that the masculine is stepping forward in this way, feminine's immediately moving into the divine union frequency, because this is the observation of a masculine that is strong enough to defend the divine union, even in the sake or in the face of wind or the energy around them trying to knock it down. Masculine, if you are experiencing this right now, it is almost this moment that, again, even if this is occurring and you're doing this change, it may feel a little triggering and overwhelming, because it may be this observation of this having happened before and something that you were not able to do before, but you are able to do now. Because it's almost this observation point, if you're moving into divine union in this way right now, on how there may have been experiences in the past where you did not defend in this way. It's almost like the point of defending the union now is giving this point of enlightenment on something that may have been lost to you in the past when you weren't able to navigate this in the way that you are now. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is effectively why we see that feminine isn't necessarily even resting at this point. If this is occurring, feminine's just moving forward and they're not looking back, because this is a feminine that's almost feeling the aggravation and the frustration of not just having experienced this before, but gotten so close to a divine union forming only for this to be the reason for it to fall apart, is almost creating a space or place of feminine that's like immediately moving away, immediately this feeling of repetition that almost feels like a point of exhaustion. The feminine's not waiting, the feminine's just proceeding forward from this point. Masculine, if you're in separation at this moment, this could be that point of observation that this effectively occurred, that there's something here where you did not necessarily stand forward to defend something the way that you needed to at this time. And now it may be this moment that feels somewhat bittersweet, because it is the observation of the past self that may not necessarily have moved or acted with such confidence that is now amplifying your own ability to make a different decision going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Chariot energy in combination with our World energy in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Seven of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union and partnership right now. This is that feeling of easement. And again, one of the things that's difficult about this is almost this moment or degree. And again, I just keep seeing this amplification right now for the energy in divine union in terms of looking at some things right now and ascertaining what is and is not in your power to control. This is really coming through with a lot of the energy in divine union right now, just having a hard look at some things right now and really just asking oneself what is causing a feeling of frustration that can be changed, that can be modified upon, versus something that just needs to be released. But this is the beauty and the power of the divine union. It is giving you the space and place to look at things with this optics, looking at something and saying, here's where some of the chaos is in our lives right now. Is this something that can be productively adjusted for and accommodated? Or is this something that just needs to be accepted? Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union right now, this is, again, if maintaining the divine union frequency, this is doing so and leaving any of this chaos behind. It doesn't feel like you're losing anything. It doesn't feel like the divine union is causing chaos. It's this observation that any energy around you that is trying to imply that the divine union isn't necessarily in the best interest is just something that you need to be moved away from, because again, it's almost that observation of the energy right now in terms of saying, well, it doesn't matter what you say. This is where we're headed. This is almost immediately, again, energy that's staying in this frequency is literally just moving away from these problems. They're moving away from these hurdles. And it's almost this point that's observing and saying, you can stay and feel like that all you want. We're headed in this direction. If you care to join us, you can join us anytime you want, but we're not allowing you to adjust our course with your confusion. We're just moving past it and almost amplifying to the energy around them at this time. This is the message that the energy coming into divine union's giving, which is, again, you can think anything you want. It doesn't matter. This is what we are doing. Masculine and feminine that are moving into separation due to this. This is a feminine energy that potentially just saw a divine union being taken away from them because the masculine wasn't able to defend themselves against like the smallest bit of energy pushing back against the divine union. This is almost a feminine energy that may have seen a masculine that like immediately like fell over like a straw man. The divine union like fell over like a straw man the minute someone like blew on it, because this is potentially a masculine that doesn't recognize the difference between desiring something and being able to hold forth on it in the face of energy that feels like they want to rattle it or feels like they want to knock it down to a certain extent. Feminine seeing this is not waiting on it. Feminine potentially may have seen this before, and feminine has just utilized this in a way. We almost see here the feminine energy experiencing this right now. The reason they're going to separation is this is feminine energy moving as quickly away from that energy as possible. This is feminine energy that's not even waiting to like navigate how to fix it. This is feminine looking at something and saying, I'm not going to fix this. You just showed me that you'll always allow this to happen, that the outside energy is something you value more than where we were headed. And this is feminine just continuing forward in that direction, because this is feminine energy that's feeling the commitment in terms of what they were trying to create and feeling the tenacity and wanting to continue to seek that out. Masculine energy in separation right now. This could be that this could be, again, something that feels a lot heavier, because this could be this observation point that's happening in terms of a cycle that is repeating. But again, and what's problematic about this cycle that may feel bittersweet is a cycle that is seen, is a cycle that can be corrected for, but there needs to be this point of personal accountability in terms of something in the past that may have created this moment of recognizing that your choices in terms of how you defended or what you didn't choose to defend in a moment may have resulted in something not necessarily working out in the favor that you would have aspired or desired. Final card for today's spread between our Page of Swords in combination with our Seven of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Swords in its reversal. Masculine, and this is the retrograde coming home to roost. This is a retrograde coming home to roost. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union and partnership. It's not the moment that we're seeing here, that things from the past aren't rising back up to the surface. But for the energy in divine union right now, it is that point in observation on how you are best navigating it going forward. For the energy right now in this divine union frequency, it is that point of observation again. And it does show that for the energy in divine union right now, there is almost this like masculine and feminine in divine union right now are almost welcoming energy from the past to come to the surface. This is almost masculine and feminine energy in divine union, showing the fact that they've healed so much that they're not even like operating from a state of like holding heavy boundaries towards things. It's almost like this moment of leaving themselves open and available so long as the energy that's coming towards them is coming from a state of peace. This is almost like what we're seeing for the energy in divine union right now. It's almost this moment we're seeing that the divine union itself is having this moment of being like, the door is open, but state your business. Are you coming in a space or place to the divine union from an act of having peace, of wanting to create restoration? Masculine's looking for that right now. Masculine's looking to mend, mend fences. Feminine is open to it, but because again, they're coming from a point of strength. This is both energies in a way almost welcoming. This is beautiful. This is why we saw the preparation coming prior to this retrograde period. This is almost masculine and feminine energy in divine union saying, we know the retrograde's coming. We know those issues from the past are coming. We know this wind is blowing in this direction. We're ready for it. This is like masculine and feminine being like, we're ready for winter. We're ready. Bring it on. This is it. Go ahead. Bring it here. It's fine. It's not about the fact, because the most important thing is the masculine and feminine being like, we're not going to let you trigger us. We're almost like the situations and circumstances, we're going to utilize a different practice. We're going to utilize that point of healing. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that moment. And again, it's all about something here having a deja vu effect. Feminine energy. If this is feminine energy that is watching this, feminine energy watching a masculine whose ability to defend a divine union is being threatened from the outside, this is feminine energy potentially feeling like, I've done this before. This is why the feminine is just sitting there quietly, because feminine's like, I have seen this before. I am waiting to see if this masculine makes the right choice. Feminine having that point of observation, if this is a masculine that effectively chooses the partnership over the outside energy trying to push them apart, is immediately feeling that validation point, because this is feminine saying and realizing that this is a masculine that is doing something different than the energy of the past. But it's still feeling triggering. It's still feeling really triggering, because this is a feminine that knows that the reason they're able to identify that there's a change happening is because there's a point of reference where this did not happen before. So even for the feminine right now, even if the feminine's moving into divine union right now, it is almost immediately triggering, because someone's actions in the right direction is reminding you of the actions that someone made in the past in the wrong direction. Masculine energy coming into divine union right now. This is also going to be triggering for you, because if you're moving into divine union right now, there is something about you observing that this is happening that you didn't see before. And it is also reminding you of the times in the past when this happened and you made the different choice. You allowed outside energy to pull you out of divine union. So even you, if you're moving into divine union right now, it is also triggering, because you're remembering when you allowed that same energy to do that. And now you're like, oh no, not this time. Oh no, not this time. But at the same time, it is very triggering, because you're feeling that sense of having it occur as you are seeing it now. Feminine energy If you just went into separation because of this, this is going to feel really frustrating, because this is a feminine energy that is like potentially really, really frustrated at masculine right now, because this is a masculine. It's not the fact that this has happened. It is the fact that for the feminine energy, potentially seeing this happen again. Seeing this happen again with the masculine may just feel like this is just that moment of again. It's going to feel like deja vu. It's feeling like something from the past happening on repeat. And it's just that point of feeling like the tremendous amount of frustration as you're experiencing this. This is almost like the retrograde energy coming home to roost to a certain extent. But we're also seeing here for the feminine energy in this modality, this is why the feminine's healing from it so quickly, because feminine is almost just seeing it for what it is. Feminine's almost recognizing that they're not going to fight the energy back in terms of changing their opinion on this. Feminine's just coming to immediate acceptance and moving forward. So in that way, it is liberating for the feminine energy and separation, because this is feminine energy immediately breaking a cycle in terms of not trying to convince this masculine to choose the divine union. This is feminine almost seeing and saying the masculine, let the outside opinion pull them away from it. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is a moment where you may be recalling that this happened. This may be feeling the full weight of something that you feel like you lost because you are not strong enough to defend it. And it's that moment that, again, may feel very triggering for masculine energy and separation right now, because it is this point of observation that is taking on a level or degree of personal accountability, as well as some of the accountability of the energy around you that may have led you to make that choice. And that in itself is kind of the retrograde coming towards you at this time in separation. Final bottom of the deck message for today is, this is 10 of Wands in its reversal. So one of the challenges here has to do with this feeling of wanting to put down a burden here. Masculine and feminine, if in divine union, this is that moment of, again, there's a sensation or feeling of masculine and feminine in divine union. They want to push things forward right now. There is a moment of observing the things that feel like they're outside of their control that is creating a point of frustration, because this is almost showing a point of frustration for the masculine and feminine identifying, even in combination, even unified. There are certain things that are beyond the purview of the energy in divine union. It's almost like having to release those moments of what they can't control, in a way feels like the frustration part for the energy in divine union, but one that is being mutually navigated. For masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union, this is that moment of having to have a point of release. The divine union, to a certain extent, is making you let go of something for both energies. And it is that observation that could be feeling, again, like a burden that is being relieved, but also with that feeling of some regret, because again, we are seeing for the energy coming into divine union right now, both energies are feeling that sensation or that experience of having something like this having happened in the past, and now having the optics of the present that are informing you, that are helping you make better decisions. It's, again, it doesn't take the burden of the past away. It almost reminds you of those past experiences, so it could be feeling very bittersweet. For feminine, it's the observation in someone doing what you feel is the right choice in terms of defending the divine union that may be feeling very liberating, but also very triggering. While for masculine, it could be this point of observation and recognizing that the choices that you're making now that are bringing you into divine union, the opportunity was there for you to make in the past. That's why you have the optics in terms of recognizing this choice now, because you see something with more clarity than you may have in a past experience. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is the feminine energy feeling the frustration. If this is a masculine that just pulled back and caused the feminine to have to go into separation because they chose outside energies, opinions on the divine union, as opposed to creating a divine union, this is feminine feeling the anxiety and the frustration of having carried something so close to the finish line, only for it to be the ball to literally evaporate before it crossed that goal line. It's almost that moment of doing all of that work to bring something into divine union, only at the last minute for it to fail that final test, is what feels so overwhelming and frustrating to the feminine. It's not the fact that the feminine recognizes that they can't do it again. It's the fact the feminine feels like they have to do all of that work over again now. It's like having to repeat an assignment the feminine just like came like 99.9% degrees into completing. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is feeling the full weight of the past experiences, recognizing some feelings or some understanding of the self that you did not feel at the time that may feel very overwhelming, but is that point of understanding that is also going to feel like a breakthrough, because again, it is that point of optics and what you want to change that is going to allow for things to be easier going forward. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a private reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.